Om Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Question 1 by Arjun. In the birth of body, mind, and intellect, why doesn't the cosmos, just as it gives the body and the mind, doesn't give the intellect the moment we are born? Why is it so? It seems like the cosmos is at play to make a man build his intellect.
Swami?
Yeah, yes, Mahesh.
Yeah, often I hear that the entire existence is just a play, is a leela. Even in Bhagavad Gita, we say it's a leela. Leela is nothing but a joyful play. Um, yeah, that is what I can comprehend about.
Okay. So God is playing with humans by giving intellect later. That's what you're saying, right?
No, it's not like God is playing with humans. It's the purpose is like nothing. There's no purpose in as such for existence. It's just a cosmic play.
Yeah. Other answers?
Okay. I don't know if God is at play or something, but yeah, I think this is how man is differentiated from plants and animals because each one will have to develop it. And Swamiji keeps saying that, yeah, I mean, everything on the same mind, same body. We'll have to, through manana, through reflection, through knowledge, evolve and develop our own intellect. Yeah, so I don't think it's at a play. I don't know how you position when you, why do you say that the God is at play? In fact, uh, I think it's fortunate that you've been given this opportunity, you've been given this blessing, uh, and it all depends on how each one of us can take it up to the level of, as Swamiji interact, not possible for us in this life, but in terms of to build it there. But anybody can do that. I don't know why it struck to me that Swami will give examples, very different examples. Different cars are there, so cars have different capacities. Likewise, each person will have different capacities. It depends on how much you are exhausting or using this capacity. You go on to make it.
Sharif?
I'm just thinking about what Krishna said in the Gita, that if anything was to happen in this life, then the knowledge and the wisdom that you have gained will be carried on to the next life. Therefore, that makes me wonder that the intellect, we are actually born, it does come along with us. But, and even a child, like, there are some 3 to 4 year olds, you teach them, you're like, oh, don't touch this, it's hot. So it's there, but it just requires time. And yeah, it appears that it's not there, but it's definitely there. But yeah, that's why I think.
So, what is happening is when human beings have this faculty of reason, right? Which you're born with, in the sense that you have that faculty of reason. But they say it appears around 6, 7, 8 years where real reasoning happens. Till that point, there is rudimentary discrimination happening, rudimentary reasoning happening. It makes sense for them and they'll be able to think by themselves. That happens around 7 or 8 years. That is indicative of doing the thread ceremony, where they are now started giving the spiritual knowledge, right? So in that sense, that is his question. Why didn't they give it when they were born only? This is Arjun's question. Now understand one thing. For anything to appear, that conducive environment needs to be there. So the physical body appears. When it is conducive, when it can survive by itself, it appears out of the mother's womb, right? And then based on the environment, the muscles build. Because it is gross, it's much faster you can build it the moment you keep using it, right? The mind also comes up, because mind has its feelings. It's not a conscious process, right? It just flows. So that also comes along with it. But for the intellect to come up, the body, means the brain or whatever, it has to be developed to a certain extent for it to appear. So unless and until that conducive environment comes, it cannot express itself, though it is there. That takes time. That's all. It's not that it is not there. For it to be a full force, for you to be able to apply yourself, you need X amount of development. Just as when it is not that as a child, the adult desires are not there. It is there, dormant in our personality. The moment our physical body, everything grows to that extent, only the desire is coming up. Because we find that a lot of our adult desires, when it comes with a force. So it is not that you have started building now. It lies dormant. When that conducive environment comes, it comes up. So similarly, for the intellect to come up to its full force, needs the conducive environment of the body and the thoughts to happen. That takes 7 or 8 years. But what is the problem in this? By which time mind is already fully expressing itself. So by that time, 8 or 9, mind is already fully, exposed to the world and is caught up. So that seems to be a disadvantage, but it is not necessarily so, because if you apply your thinking, you will become very conscious and you will be able to develop that faculty also faster once you start applying. So therefore, though it appears later, yes. Why is it so? Because there is no conducive environment for it to come up. So the cosmos is not doing anything to build the intellect. It is only saying, we have given you, but that will come only at that point. So that's the reason for this to happen. For the conscious thinking process to happen, you need the mind intellect to be fully available, fully developed. That happens around 8 years. It needs that much of development of the physical body for it even to express. Yes, Mahesh.
The way I understand the question is, why doesn't God create perfect world by giving intellect right away rather than having to develop?
Correct.
Isn't it for me?
That's what he's saying. So for which he's saying he is given, but for you to express it, you need that environment. The physical environment for it to express itself. The brain, which is the interface through which it has to show, needs that amount of time for the intellect to express itself.
Okay, sir. Got it.
Yes, Arjun.
And what is that environment all about, Swamiji?
The environment, in the sense, the physical aspects itself. Your brain has to be developed for a certain extent for the intellect to perform its role completely. Brain is still growing. You grow to some point after which your physical features remain the same, isn't it? So till that point of time, so brain is more an interface, but under the interface is ready, how can you do anything? So that's the time it expresses. But for the mind, there's no reason backing it. So therefore, it just keeps expressing. It doesn't need the development. Even after that, so that is one. Number two is, even after that, if you put in the effort of a conscious thought process, only intellect will develop. It is not just because you're living 20, 30 years, your intellect is developed. No, intellect needs that conscious process. Because intellect means reason, no? So unless reason is applied, you will not be able to develop your reason. Mind is indiscriminate. So there's no application. It just indiscriminately goes. But intellect needs conscious thought process. Just as the physical body, naturally, just by use, the muscles are developing. But you can't be an athlete. For becoming an athlete, you have to consciously stretch those muscles and develop them. Similarly, we are just using the intellect day-to-day things, rudimentary aspect. But you want to develop the intellect, there's a conscious thought process of disciplined thinking and everything to develop. So it is given, but it has to be used. Any other questions? He sent me a question as clarification yesterday. I said, no, I'll take it up because it's an interesting question to take up in the group. And our main questioner is in the flight back to his house, so he's not there today. So the rest of the questions are formulated by the teacher for you to answer. So it's not anybody's question. The poem, what is the main message of this poem? What was the issue with the analysis of the chick after her mother's warning and it seeing the ducks playing in the water? You can say what was the problem with the analysis, issue or problem, whatever, you can take it.
Desire, we're not guided by proper intellect, fully developed intellect.
Okay. Other answers?
The scary part in the pond was that the little duck chose to only, the little
Chick.
was it chick? Yeah, the little chick only compared one part of its body, right? Not two, because it said, "Oh, they're doing this, I can do this too," but it did not compare the feet, if I'm not mistaken. But it also shows like if our intellect is not developed, our mind has the ability to reason and to allow these desires or unfiltered thoughts. Like we can convince ourselves to do the wrong thing.
Okay. Other answers?
Want to go, but very interesting. This poem get me a lot of reflection. One thing that Swamiji also said, obviously, building on what he said, there is very little assessment which we do live of the situation. The desires are always flowing all across, and the mind like a monkey which keeps creating more and more desire. And what we have not, the poem it says, and I'll just reflect on myself, is that we have this opportunity, sometimes say of scripture or masters, to learn from, but by the time, so it's already provided to us. But like a little chick who's not listening to the we are not been able to learn understand it's already too late for all of us to pick up from what the scriptures and masters are guiding us. And we end up having a lot of accidents in our life. And we don't die actually, but that moment of experience, we have we die in that experience about it. I think somebody gives family memory was true. He says of his friend who starts around retirement, after retirement is a business, and not realizing that he does not have his that vasanas. And he keeps saying that vasanas originate very early, and like especially if there is a business vasana. He also talks about one kid at 7 or 8 years start to sell eggs and something like that. So, not knowing your own self, getting carried away with the, and obviously that gentleman, a friend of his, after a couple of months, a couple of years, actually ended up being closing that. So, all the messages, guidance has been available. But what we don't do is that we don't develop, we don't listen, we pay heed to it. And we just go ahead, helter-skelter in achieving our daily needs and desires about it. And therefore, we end up hitting again and again that accident. So, that is one of the reasons, one of this poem which allowed me to, or reassured me that this study has to be throughout. I cannot really have a situation where I will do it part-time. That's something I keep saying, that's a weekend play. Though nowadays, with our new job, I'm not able to do a weekly study as much I would like to do. But the more we will do the studies regularly, the chances that we'll be in a much better position to stand, assess the environment, the people, and then most likely be in a position to not get drowned. Continue to live life as best as we can. That's what I understand.
Arjun,
Oh, Swamiji, I have no idea.
the poems book is given only as a question for everybody to answer. Yeah.
Sorry, can I just ask something,
Yes,
Nimesh?
Shari. Yes.
You know, the scriptures are given to us. Our parents have been great guides. We have, we are blessed to be in an environment where we are getting good guidance. But is that enough, though? Like, yes, if we have Shraddha, we will believe in the scriptures. But I still believe that while they're there as a brick wall for us, it's that churning, it's that convincing that we have to do internally. Do you know what I mean? Like, we would probably do it because we've been told we're doing it from that angle, but are we truly convinced? And if we were in despair, would we have that line of reasoning? That's what makes me think. I have spent so many years of my life just listening to people to a point where I used to make decisions because that is the right thing to be done. Therefore, I must. And that was just simply my lining of reasoning. And I built so much resentment in me. Yeah. So like this mother, she is giving advice, but still it's I mean, yeah, in this the chick's really small, but in terms of like the scriptural and us, yes, that knowledge is there, but it's only through our convincing ourselves, then only we can apply it.
Nimesh.
I didn't understand the question, but I do agree with what you said because so me, the mother in this poem is the Gita or Purushottam Vedanta. And we are all. And in what you said that in the earlier, there's still the God exists. And I think I'm just adding one element more. I think we have got the right guru, which is very important. And through guru only we are able to find, doctrine, reflect, and do. Because as you rightly said, probably this Vedanta treatise was available in the of my how my father was used to go. So there is some vasana, some kind of thought process over there. But we, once I heard Swamiji, is when that thinking and reasoning, that awakening happened by which I started to get more inclined or more to studies. So that for me is the Guruji and this both helped. And I think again in that mother is like a guru also, mother is like a disciple also. We in the world are rushing and we actually don't know what we want most of the time. Because we say we want this, but always we want this with conditions and conditions and conditions keeps going on. We don't know what we want. And therefore, this is trying to say, I don't know if I'm answering the question, but I'm just trying to further reflect on the poem that I read, is that how to think and reason at that point when your mind is agitated. It also gives you opportunity that mind will crave for something. And so for the chick, it wanted to go and swim. And there is a Upanishad which tells us that there is a mother who's told her that don't, it will not. But you cross the line. Here also in life, cross the line. And we end up having a relationship disaster, money disaster. So, to answer that question, I think that application is your individual. That I think fully agree with you. Some manner will develop a sports, so they're going to be doing great in sports. Right? Studies of the Swami, you say engineering, 5 years you will give, 5 years BCom. Likewise, when you get this opportunity of scriptures, you have to give it some time, one way of studies, to be able to be in a position that we are in a capacity to not just get carried away with our desires and mind. So there is what you use the word right is Shraddha. Go with the Shraddha, and just Shraddha will not help. We'll have to actually put that number of hours. This thanks to Shamji for creating this allows us to be in continuous touch with it so that you don't forget. Naturally, we forget. Then you live with it. I just went with my thoughts. I don't know whether I really answered your point that Shamji can add.
Mahesh and Arjun, anything to add?
You're saying something, Sharon.
Sir, Sharon, you have a
No.
clarification?
No. Yeah. So I feel the scriptures are important, but it's just that we need to process it. Yeah. So I think
That I agree.
we're
Completely
along
without
the same
that.
line. Yeah.
Because the
Like,
previous question also we answered that cosmos also the same thing. Like
Yeah.
everybody is given gross intellect.
yeah.
It probably originates also for all of us at maybe 7, 8, 10, 15 years, but we couldn't pick it up at that point in time. And we
Well,
picked it up and we
yeah.
don't even know. Then we churn and we grow and do it. That's completely with you. Without that, our own churning, we won't be able to do it. The application.
Yeah. Like Swami Parthasarathi said, right? I think it was in this week's, like either 4, 5, and 6. He said like, oh, first he started with Swami Chinmayananda, for example.
Correct.
So he got that knowledge, but obviously there must have been something that actually, there was something that he felt he was not, there was something that was not addressed. And then he, decided to look into Swami Ramatirtha's work. So like, I kind of feel like it's that absolute convincing that we need depends on every individual and how much we interact with it. So yes, the scriptures are there, but to the extent that we absorb it and apply it, it's just on each individual to some extent. Yeah.
Completely. Right.
Arjun, you had something? Sorry.
No, Swamiji.
Okay. Mahesh? Can't
No,
hear you.
Swami, thank you.
Sorry, can't hear you, Mahesh.
Swami, no, Swami, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, Shireen, the first important thing is that the religion without thinking is mere blind faith. So, all the religious practices that we have, which we are brought up with through our parents, is to just follow certain things without reason. So, spirituality makes sense only if it jogs your thinking. So we can't call ourselves religious because we are not jogging our thinking at all in our process of religion. So that is the reason why the scriptures are not making any sense to us because we never thought about it. So in any household, if the thinking is encouraged in the area of spirituality also in religion, only then you will make use of it and benefit from the scripture. And particularly when it comes to religion, they say you should not question. There you should apply, you are not questioning. In all other areas, you are questioning and going into what type of course I have to do, who should I be marrying, everything there, the reasoning is applied. The most important aspect of life, which is the spiritual part, we don't question. So, the claim that we are religious is erroneous because unless thinking is entertained in the space of religion or spirituality, we are not religious. So, as long as it appeals to our fulfillment of desires, we are following. It's not religion. It's a business transaction with God. That's why it doesn't work. And more there is these religious practices in homes which are strictly followed. Less is the knowledge being promoted. Means they don't promote the thinking aspect. You understand? So therefore, that is the whole problem. The problem of spiritual education in the world is they don't make you think. That's all. So that is the reason when we got an opportunity, when we had access to the knowledge, when Guru like Swamiji comes and says, you should think, you should think. The first time we applied our thinking itself. Then we got seriously into it. That's the reason. So mere religion being part of life doesn't make any sense. Means it's not going to help. Thinking in the religion only is going to help, which is not promoted by anybody. Why they don't promote? Because they never thought when they got into religion, our parents or our family. So the moment you even ask questions, they'll say, shut up and follow it. So therefore, they are stifling the thinking, which is actually supposed to be promoted in spirituality. So they are doing a double fault. They don't themselves think, they ask you to follow without reason. This is the problem. Yeah, is it clear, Sharon?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Now, the main message of the poem, the pond is justification. What is justification? Justification means the mind has already decided something and uses the intellect's reason to give the logic as to why it has to do something. A decision which is opposed to justification is where you weigh the pros and cons and come to a conclusion. It's called a decision of the intellect. Justification of the mind is where the mind has already said, this is what I want. And it controls the thinking process of the intellect. So all the reasoning done by the intellect is within the periphery of the mind. It doesn't go outside. So it gives reason and logic as to why you should do something. But it should not be doing that work. That's not its job. Its job is to reason and come to a conclusion. So this is what the mind is doing. So this is what he's saying in the poem. Though there is a reasoning involved, yet that reasoning is involved. So therefore, what the poem says is that even when you're reasoning, be careful. The reason could be within the mind's control. Then also it's wrong. So the analysis of the chick after the mother's warning and seeing the ducks playing in the water, the issue is the data was in front of it. What is the data? It says, my feet, wings and feather for what I see. The data is there. The feet of the chick is not equal to the feet of the duck, like what Sharin was saying. It said, my feet, wings and feathers. So feet are also there. Data is in front of you, but you will not be able to see it because mind-led reasoning. So if it is objective reasoning, you will find out. But now you have already decided. So you ignore the data right in front of you. This is the issue with that analysis. Because if it says, my wings and feather was what I see, I understand. It says, my feet, wings and feather. It used the word feet. My feet is the same as the chick. Duck, no. Feet is not the same as the duck. So what happens? The mind, when it overpowers the intellect in applying the reason, you will see the data, but you will ignore it because that data is going to go against the decision of what the mind wants. You understand? So a lot of times it is not the lack of data that comes to erroneous conclusion. It is because the mind is in control, it will not want to see that particular data, which will change the decision of the intellect. And before you know it, that's what it says. Before you know, it is too late. That's why it's fatal. A lot of times it is fatal, the decision. That's what it is. So simply put, in the area of your desire, you should be careful while reasoning. So in the area of your desire, it is better that the reason is verified by a higher intellect by taking guidance. Because you know that you may not be objective. You can do the analysis and take it to the higher intellect. Like even when if you go take an appointment with Swamiji, if you have been with him for some time, he'll say, go and analyze and come back. So he is not going to give a solution because he wants you to apply your thinking. So you verify because you know it is an area of desire. You know it is possible that my mind is taking over the analysis. So you take the guidance of verify the reasoning with a higher intellect. Then you follow it. Any questions? If not, question 3. Sorry to give a tough question. Is there a thought flow or progression of knowledge in the sequence of the first 5 poems in the book? You can, if you are understood, then take the rest of the poems also. But I'm just saying first 5 because I don't know how much you watched. I am doing this. Answers can be wrong, it doesn't matter. But you should understand that when you read the book, you should also have all these ideas. Is there a thought process, thought flow between the chapters when you're reading any book? Is there a thought flow between the paragraphs? Is there a message that is given? Similarly, why is the order of the poems compiled this way? Did the master think about why should this poem be first? Why can't Turkey and the Ant be the 5th poem? Why should it be the first? You understand?
So it's the turkey and the ant, the pond, the olive tree,
Abu Ben
Abu
Adam,
Ben
Casabianca.
Casablanca. Okay.
And if you can catch the drift, the next few poems also are connected only. Are connected means you can say they are connected. So I'm giving you the first question. Is there a thought flow? Means yes, there's a thought flow. I'm just trying to say. The reasoning could be wrong. It doesn't matter. But the fact that you just thought about it is the most important thing. This is how the intellect develops, just by questioning. Is there anything? You may dismiss it, it's not there also. Now I'm saying there is something.
Interesting. I haven't thought about it because then, right? Okay.
Don't worry, nobody has thought about it. So just I'm giving you a simple way of doing it. Just see the message of each of the poems and see how is there a progression of idea. That's all. Simple. The message of each of them.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, I'm just looking at the message, the
Yeah.
turkey and the ant. It was like, we're not even looking at ourselves. It's so easy to find faults in others, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And then the pond was like, look at how the mind can override everything. So let me look at the other three now.
Give it a shot or whatever I understood is there
Yes.
saying that we unsettable desires of
Ah,
mind
okay.
and we're chasing that desires and I think through olive tree the first both poems are saying we never assess the situation and we're looking for external. So olive tree trying to say we're trying to externalize and say that get something from outside or prayers and be able to do that. Says just live the life through Abu Adam says just don't need to do those prayers or those things, just love your peers, love your colleagues, love, be a good human being out there. That's more important than really trying to look or ask or demand anything because you're already happy within and with yourself rather than trying to be outside. So it actually brings you to a state that going all out with the world to meet your unsatiable needs demand ultimately tries to bring in that what you want is there within you. And then there is this guidance that comes that Swami said, this is what you need to do. And that father, the son, and the ship, this one, and really tries to highlight that this is available to you with Shraddha and faith. Just continue doing that. And if you follow this also, I think you're done. You don't need to really just apply. Said, I'll be talking about we just need to apply this knowledge day to day is what and there's a this drawing parallel. That's what I can think with each of the messages there. Just trying to say.
Other answers?
I would agree with Nimish because Turkey in the Ant is finding, not able to look at ourselves, but so easy to point at others. Mind is dangerous. The olive tree, for me, it was also like almost an element of surrender, right? It's like things are not in your hands. Do your best and let it be. So it is really, in a way, we're so egoistic, like breaking us down to show that actually we're nothing. And in a way, like showing we're not that individual, nothing, we're not that individual, everything that we once thought of, but actually we are part of, we're all one kind of a thing. That was for me.
Arjun, any ideas? Already is also driving. Arjun.
No, Swamiji, I'm not driving, but yes, I have not started the selecting English poems yet.
Okay. Mahesh.
For me, I'm also on the same page as Mr.
I know
Arjun.
because he's gallivanting in Rajasthan, so he's also not started poems. He's coming only on Monday. Okay. Turkey and the Ant talks about desires being insatiable. That's the main theme. And when the desires are insatiable, also the second theme is to being extrovert. So even you don't see the mistakes that you do, right? But the main thing is insatiable desire. It was working, looking at all the barn and all the grains. It got tired of it. It went and found ants. Isn't it? It didn't stop there. Next, immediately the desire is, oh, if only the poultry doesn't kill us. So the desire is going insatiable and acquisition also going along with it. Right? The turkey and the ant. The pond says that desire, if you don't do it, it destroys you. The chick is destroyed because of its desire, isn't it? So don't justify using your intellect to desire your course of action. That's a message. Because what did it say? I am really remarkably fond of the water. Started by that only. Then started the analysis. Means I want to go into the water. So desires are insatiable by themselves. And if you don't know how to handle the desire, it's going to destroy you. And when you say you have a desire, which we have also seen in the fall of the human intellect, you do not know what you're asking for. You don't know exactly what you want, isn't it? What's the example for that? What's the illustration Swamiji gives? Anyone?
Businessman wants
Huh?
to, I remember.
Huh?
I remember there's the example of a businessman who wanted to buy something, machinery or something, and then not realizing that the dollar currency can change, and therefore instead of having maybe the 25 lakh, then if the currency falls, the cost becomes 30 lakhs. Then he's saying, no. What I meant is that I want this machinery to be bought, but with the currency to be the same and with all the other conditions there. So we don't know exactly what we're trying to ask him. So the best example is there that first you want to get married, then for married, child, and a house, car, everything in life, then a child, then not realizing the child can also have some kind of difficulties. So, I mean, in the life of a person, since we just don't know what we want, we just, at that point in time in life, we're just running after different toys or different desires of life. That's the two examples that come from. The human example is much more good. It's continuous shows, businessmen also. It demonstrates that we exactly don't know what.
The bachelor boy example. He went to God to find out he wanted a wife. So do you just want a wife? No. The wife will produce a child. Do you just want a wife who will produce a child? No. The child will not be deaf and dumb. So this God had in front of him. Therefore, every time when he goes to God asks him, do you want anything more? He says, no. I know what I want, but he didn't know what he wanted. So this is the highlight of olive tree. You do not know what you want. Isn't it? Because the first hermit asked so many things. I want this for the tree. I want this for the tree. Everything he asked, everything was given. But in the even song, it died. So what does olive tree say? Two things. One, you don't know what to ask. Therefore, what do? Surrender to the total scheme of things and perform your obligations. So this is at the level of actions. You don't know. So first two set probably with the desires. The third set, you don't know what you have to do. Then what do you do? Just do whatever you're ought to do in your life by surrendering to the higher and function. That's olive tree. And start acting. He did everything for the tree, but he didn't ask because he knew that I don't know what to ask. So I'm surrendering to the total scheme of things. The olive tree. So the next two poems talk of at the devotion level. So olive tree, action. Abu Ben Adam and Casabianca, devotion level. So how do you develop devotion? Identification with other fellow beings. This is Abu Ben Adam. Not really prayer to God. Identification with fellow beings. And what is the devotional aspect in Casabianca? Surrender to the master and scriptures. So action level, then you got to the emotion level. And if you can extend it, mountain and squirrel, no ego, complexes. It's the next action level, emotion level, ego level. Then Nightingale and the glowworm. Nightingale and the glowworm saying, when you perform sadhana, it should be everything. Devotion and knowledge are very equally important in your life. So he is born to that. What is the real knowledge? Pineapple and the bee. Is it? They who truth and wisdom lead can gather honey from a weed. Then comes, what is it that you do in your life? Running behind toys. That's the toys poem. Running behind all the toys in life. And when you come to religion, you are so sure. Blind man and the elephant. So if you see that, so there is the sort of a, logically is put in such a way. Then what should I do? Live an ideal life like the village preacher. So it's giving principles. In this process, don't develop your ego. They also serve who only stand and pray on his blindness. So if you see like that, there seems to be he is put, in a certain way that there's a progression of idea. I have not asked Swamiji personally. It's more my analysis to think. You understand? I have not asked him. But I know he'll not put anything without any reason behind it. So there will be a logic as to why he has done it. That's all. So similarly, you can see governing business and relationships. Why are the chapters in that order? You have to think. Is there any progression of idea there? Why is he saying that? So you have to think. So when you think like that, the exercise, you may not even be able to conclude. But the fact that you're thinking see, in other words, even here, when we come, we get into the mode of only thinking within a certain parameter. That should not. Therefore, all these things should come up. Any questions?
Shamji, I've got one question.
Yeah.
When I read The Turkey in the Ant, I think when we read something, whichever point we are in our life, we tend to hold on to that. Like, yeah, I can see desires are insatiable and it makes really good sense. But the one that hit me harder was we're finding faults in others, but we're not finding faults in ourselves.
Correct.
Right? So, like, what should I do then? Just like maybe for now, hold on to that? Or like, how do you guys learn the poem when you were in the academy?
No. So one is to learn to see all these things. And then finally, whatever makes sense to you, that you will be inspired to follow. So it's okay. You follow that. So the moment you get inspired and you follow that, then the other qualities also level up. It's not like these are all disconnected from each other. You understand? So therefore, when you see somebody, understand this, you see somebody running behind with greed, you will apply it on yourself. No? Oh, do I have the greed? So that way insatiable desire will get handled anyways in that process. So the trying to be introvert also helps handling the desire. So in the study, you put all the points. Okay, the poem means all these things are the message in the poem. But in that poem, this is what is inspiring. Doesn't matter. So why do they give so much of knowledge? Is because each person will find inspiration in a particular concept or a theorem in the philosophy. That will give them the hook to hold on to the knowledge, hold on to spirituality. Through that, they'll grow. When they grow, all of the qualities will also measure up because all qualities are connected to each other. So it's not wrong to feel inspired by certain things. There's nothing wrong. Any other questions?
I think, Shen, what I try, and it happens with me also, and I do have this habit of finding faults regularly in terms of at home, this is the way or that's not the way in life. But when I reflect on this poem, I do make a conscious effort. My conversations happen with myself. I want to make sure that, even if what I wanted to eat didn't come as it wanted about there, then I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to comment about that. I'm not going to complain about this thing. And somewhere I realized it become default nature that I not even realize this book first of all allowed me to see around me how much I was complaining around for things which I didn't even know I was complaining about. But this effort which you take consciously realize. And once you start becoming aware, na, slowly, gradually, your intellect, slowly, gradually, the subconscious, whatever you call there, will start to catch you again, you do next time. And then when you catch, maybe you still do it. I still do the mistakes. I'm not saying I don't do it. But then again, when I catch it, third, fourth time I catch it, then I stop doing it in that small area. Not saying that I'm not doing all there, but it just allows me to be aware and just catching me to improvise day in and day out. And when you keep doing that slowly about aware, then, and it's in the smaller things, I think very easy. You may see the large, big things we are complaining about there, but it's not about the large things. The smaller day-to-day things that you work. I mean, I'm trying to work for myself. That is allowing me to control my habit of complaining and finding fault in the sense about this is how it should be, that's how. It's a journey. It's time. Share.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Like I feel with all the study, we are blessed in a way that we can filter our actions, filter our words. But what is really causing some agitation in me is like filtering the thoughts that come in. It's like the thought comes in and yes, you can control it, but you're also wondering like, could the thought not have come in the first place?
So that happens because if we had the access to the knowledge earlier, then our nature would have been different. But since we didn't have the access to the knowledge, the mind ran amok. Wherever it wanted, it went without any supervision, right? So you should understand this is a necessary evil. That when you, why am I having this thought? Then you understand I did it in ignorance. In ignorance, all these thoughts were entertained. So now with knowledge, I need to dismiss these thoughts. So there's nothing wrong in these thoughts. The most important thing is, what are you doing with those thoughts? Which is most important. See, that's why in chapter 9 of the Gita, he says, even the most evil person can evolve. So it's not where you are that matters, but what direction you take your life. You are taking in your life. So are you putting that effort to move? That's the most important.
So in other words, would that mean like negative thoughts or, like those instant reaction thoughts, which, should not even be thought of, actually comes to everybody because that's the nature of the mind. And as long as we're using the knowledge to curb it and not action it and saying, oh, this is just the mind's nature, then we just let it drift off. Is that
correct?
Is that
So understand one thing. How do you know your current nature is the first reaction to any experience. That's your current nature, right? Then what you do in the earlier stages of your development, you use your intellect to be able to allow the thought, if it is beneficial to the people, whatever is evolutionary, and dismiss it if it is not. Then in this process, slowly your nature will change. So the initial reaction will also change. But you should give it time. Because I don't know how much of effort we have gone in the wrong direction. We don't know, right? So you're taking a U-turn now. Yes, Nimesh.
Just to add, and I think beautifully shared by Shamji, but again, going from my own practice, I think what you said is thoughts coming in. So I don't know, somewhere Swamiji has said that is what I applied and Swamiji has guided us. What you take in, garbage out. So over the last 30, 40, 50 years we lived there, we've taken in information by which our negative thoughts have been developed. And even without you really having known of it, if we know that half an hour somebody is delayed at house and we don't have contact, negative thoughts come, something wrong would have happened. But that's what we're taking all the inputs from all the information which is around our newspaper, magazine, and the social media and all. So I think somewhere Swamiji guides that there are two times in the day, and this is what I also I really follow. That first thing in the morning when you get up. So if you change your flow of thoughts, which over time changes, then it will take over time. Then in the first early hours of the day, even if you're not doing spiritual, so if you're spiritual, that's best. But if you're not doing spiritual, don't take your mobile information inside. don't go to social media because it's all crap in the sense it's all sensational, it's all negative. And so you may not realize, but why the mind is absorbing the social media information, registering some part in the mind, and then building up one. And before you go to sleep, it's always in the last 1 hour or 2 hours before you go to sleep, we have to make conscious effort to see that we are not taking all this information inside at the start of the day and the end of the day. And I have personally measured for myself, it took me closer to about, I don't know, about 6 months to about a year to change my earlier negative thought to positive is when I consciously followed this over a period of time. Otherwise, if I'm, studying only, I mean, doing studies afternoon, but morning I'm all negative. And I open on Times of India, what did it say? Probably something negative only had happened. Then I open on social media, maybe the jealousy or envy will come about there. So we'll have to do this conscious effort. I'm trying, if you can consider if it works for you. The early morning and just before you go to sleep. And I've measured, if I see a horror movie or something like that, or something very terrifying movie, something before I go to sleep, it's a very heavy sleep I get. Why? Because your mind is just taken inside and through dreams or something. I start the day with again something negative happens in my life. Then the small events about. So try to see if you want to change your thoughts this early morning and before sleeping, the mobile. So I never know what mobile Shamji sends 40 minutes to go, 50 minutes to go. I know that 6:55 to come here. I don't see the mobile only do that. The 6:55 to come to the restaurant. I don't want to see WhatsApp. The university WhatsApp pushes so much of junk information. It's by default glued in for 10, 15 minutes and lost it. So between 5:30 to 7:30, I'm not seeing anything on the mobile. And a normal day. And so is it. I have to come. Try it if it helps. I don't know whether it makes sense.
Makes very good sense. Thank you for sharing it.
Basically, satsang, in all thoughts, actions, and perceptions, everything, if you are able to keep the ideal things, then the mind will tend to follow that. Because mind is very impressionable. It will just take whatever is there. Yeah. Any other questions? So understand this when you're doing your study, that like what I've given as a thought flow, right? So put a conscious effort to find these things. Particularly now when you're going to Vedanta Treatise, the first time when I joined the course, Swamiji had already finished section A of Vedanta Treatise. I joined in section B, which is the first human composition of Vedanta Treatise. So we are supposed to take exams every 3 weeks. So that time when he was traveling, he said, this time, because it was just he was introducing some chapter and he was leaving. Then he said, don't have to write your exams. But he just casually told me, by the time I come back, section A should be in your fingertips. Like that, then I went and said, what is he saying? I started thinking about it. And then I kept a schedule. These 3 weeks, I have so many of study times. And that, give one day, you may feel indifferent. Whatever, give all those things. And this is the amount of chapters I have to finish. So how much can I do in a one study time? So there is a schedule of discipline even in the study. Follow that. Then I started following this idea because in his old Atmabodha book, he had put every chapter into the topics and versus how they are connected to the topics. Then I said, how is each topic in the Vedanta Treatise chapter connected to the title? And how is each paragraph giving any message, right? So this sort of a thing I started working out. So after the end of every chapter, I used to consolidate that in the whole message in one page, or something like that. One page in the sense in like, see, I'm very used to formulas. This plus this is this. That is easier for me to read it also, because it's your revision. It's not that for anybody to present it, right? So I have all 21 chapters of the VT in every message of every chapter is one page. So what it does is, so most of the time, we spend time in studying, but we never consolidate our position. We just move to the next one. So this is where it helps. So what will happen is, first thing that you will get in this process is memory of the subject. Memory of Vedanta is the first step. Then comes living it. Memory of Vedanta means, if you ask me in Vedanta Treatise, where is this concept? I'll tell you this in this chapter. Because of the study you have done, you now remember where it is. So what will happen in the beginning, because the intellect is still not understood things, when you face some situation, memory is what helps you. Oh, I heard in the class, this is what he said. So can I use that now to handle the mind? Then comes the actual, understanding when you live it. So that is why Shareen has just joined the Gita class. After every chapter of the Gita, I do a summary class. In 1 hour, I summarize the entire chapter and go to the next. So like that. So I have got each chapter verse by verse, even Atma Bodha verse by verse. A summary of it. This is not to present to others, but for us to study. So tomorrow, if I just take that one sheet and go through the whole sheet, I know what's there, the message in the chapter. It's easy for recall also. Otherwise, our notes may be, say, 10 pages. When are we going to go back to that notes? Maybe after 3 years. I understand. Because when you're repeating the study, that's what you do. So this helps to summarize things. So like that, what is this poem? Each poem, what is the message? Are that poems connected to each other? They may not be connected also. It's possible. Connected to each other. Is it? Like same thing, GBR. How are the chapters connected? You don't even have to go to individual chapter. Just go to the contents page and see, is the chapters connected? Is there a thought flow that Swami has given there? So this makes for interesting reading and thinking, apart from what you're already doing. Yeah. Any questions? If not, we'll conclude here. We'll meet in the next class.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.